Subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button. Click the bell button and enjoy the latest uploads from our channel.
We've talked about escaping quotes inside of quotes and how, if we start a string or value with quotes and we want to use quotes inside of it, we need to add a backslash in front of the quotes that are on the inside. So if what you want is variable car is equal to my favorite car is Audi with quotes around Audi, then the browser is going to see my favorite car is and then an arrow right after it. And what you want to do, you want to use the backslash in front of other quotes. So you have a quote on the outside, quote on the inside, and that contains your string. You have two quotes on the inside, and you need to add a backslash in front of them, or use an apostrophe. This is one method of escaping. And when you use this, then your browser is going to see this. And the last thing you want is an uncooperative browser because of an extremely preventable scenario. So what we did here, and this is just a very small example of escaping some code. To fully escape anything, we need to change the spaces to special characters and special characters to other characters. Now, this probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense at this very moment, but it will by the end of this class. So to escape something, we use the escape function. We have one parameter, and I just wrote str for string, and that can either be a string, so you can type whatever you like in there, or a variable. And we would execute it like this, variable escape, and this is our string. The cow jumped over the moon, and when we go to write that out, we just use escape, put a variable inside there, and it would display the cow jumped over the moon. Now you don't have to learn how to read this. Some of these special characters are kind of handy to know. For example, 20% is a space, and 21% would be an exclamation mark. But this is how your browser escapes something. Now, before we do anything, I need to let you know that this is not a secure way to encrypt any sort of information because it is easily unescaped, and we'll touch on this in just a moment. The reason we escape a string or a variable is to allow it through the URL. Once it becomes escaped, we can redirect the user to a specific URL. For example, if we have http mywebsite.com/index.php, and the question mark up here means our queried string. When we get to PHP, this will make a lot more sense. String would be our variable, and this is what the browser sees. And the reason we have to do that is because you can't go to myspacewebsite.com. Everything has to be together. Everything has to be one word in the URL. And by doing this, you're making everything together. Once we do that, then PHP is able to get that out of the URL, and it can unescape it itself. And this is one method of transferring information from JavaScript to PHP, because JavaScript is a client-side scripting language, meaning it runs on your browser and the server has nothing to do with it. And PHP is the other way around. PHP only acts with the server and does not have anything to do really with the client, or in this case you or your JavaScript. This is one form of how they can meet kind of in the middle and get information from each other. Also remember about HTML5, we can use local storage and session storage to transfer information from one page to another page, as long as the user is using an HTML5 browser. If you need to, go back to local storage and session storage in the HTML5 section, and just brush up on that if you need to. But the problem between local storage and session storage is that it still can't send information to the server. It can only send information from page to page using JavaScript. So again, we would just escape something, and this would be our variable, and then we could redirect the user to, for example, index.php string is equal to, and then your escape text. Once you escape some text, it does look pretty bad, it's pretty hard to read. If we want to share it with the user, we need to unescape that. We don't want the user to be trying to read this. Most people are just going to look at this and go, I don't know what any of that means. So to unescape, we actually use that function. It's just called unescape. Same thing, it accepts one parameter, and I just wrote str for string, or it could be your variable. In either case, it should be escaped already. And in our example here, we have variable unescape me, and then our string has already been escaped. If we wrote document write unescape, and then our variable, it will display the cow jumped over the moon perfectly. Now you don't need to know all of this right now. However, you will need to know it in the future. If you remember this right now, that's great. If you don't worry. You can always use this as.
If you think this video was helpful, give thumbs up. And subscribe us for information regarding technology. Thank you.